You know, there's always that one or two people, or maybe even a group of people who believe that the rules don't apply to them. They're going against the rules no matter what they're going to do, as long as they can benefit themselves. I mean, they have an attitude of who cares about anyone else. Did you know that we have campground rules? Whenever you sign in to a campground, they give you a list of rules, or an RV park, they give you a list of rules. But there are also unwritten rules of camping, glamping, RV parks. And the majority of the campers, well, I mean, they're good in nature. We love campers. We love RVers and campers. And I'm convinced that those who don't follow the rules, well, number one, either they don't care or they have no idea what the unwritten rules are. Hi everyone, I'm Tim from Chasing the Joneses, and welcome to our channel. We're so glad that you guys are with us today. And you know, if you're new to our channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified on future things. But also like this, comment on it as well. Tell us your thoughts, and also share this to other people so our channel can grow and the news of unwritten rules in campgrounds can get out there, so people will stop being dummies in campgrounds, right? In this episode, I will be addressing something that seems to be trending in campgrounds and RV parks. But be sure to stay tuned to the end, because I have one of the most important unwritten rules of all time. So stay tuned to the very end. Well, all right, let's get on with it. The unwritten rules I'm going to give you today are not in any particular order except that very last one that I'm going to share with you. And the truth is that you can boil all these unwritten rules down to one simple rule. And that is the golden rule. That's right. It comes from the Bible, believe it or not. Well, it says, do unto others as you would have them do to you. So these unwritten rules can be summed up by just that one rule. If we treat others the way we want to be treated, then the unwritten rules wouldn't be needed. In fact, they all would be followed and you'd never need anything. But let's talk about these unwritten rules for a moment. I want to get to these very ones because they're very specific, and I have noticed them, I have witnessed them, and so I want to share them with you today. Number one, coming in number one is this, is put your fire out when you leave. Now, I grew up in Michigan, and you see part of Michigan behind me, and we had Smokey the Bear, and he would say, only you can prevent forest fires. It doesn't matter if you have extra wood to burn. Put it out when you go to bed. Put out that fire when you go to bed. Put out that fire when you leave for the day, and put out that fire when you pack up and go home. Recently, my wife and I were interviewed by a news station about campfires and about the procedures for putting them out. And the reason they did that was it was a story about someone who left their campfire going in the fire pit, and it spread and it caught the whole entire park on fire. They all had to be evacuated. You know, it only takes one small spark for a campfire to spread. And let's face it, you don't want to come back to the campground on fire. You don't want to come back to your campsite all burnt up. You don't want to come back to someone else's rig, their campsite burned down. And it's just the wrong thing to do. So what can you do to know that your fire is out? Let me just share these things with you. First of all, spread out the fire, right? Douse it with water, right? And wait for a few moments. Wait for the steam to roll up and out, right? And then put your hand, this part of your hand down by the fire pit. And if it's still hot or still warm, you need to douse it again. And then stir it up a little bit, right? And make sure that fire is completely out. Now, The second thing is near and dear to my heart as well, because I've seen it done, I've seen it happen, and I've walked into situations where it's happened to us. Don't leave your garbage for someone else to pick up. That means even in the fire pits, don't leave your garbage in the fire pits, don't leave your garbage in around the campground. I mean, we see it everywhere we go. People leave their stuff, their wet stuff, their broken stuff, their unwanted stuff, and they just leave it for other people to pick up. And listen to me, that is not cool. That is not cool at all. You know, we recently saw where a campsite was, people left the campsite and they left so many things there. And so we had to go back and we had to throw all those things away and get rid of the whole entire campsite in order for someone else to be able to go into that campsite. It's just not cool. You know, when people show up, you know, they don't want to have to pick up your stuff. They don't want to have to pick up the junk. It's not a good way to start your camping. It may be a good way for you to leave the camping, but it's not a good way for others to start their camping time. You know, just the other day, here in this park, someone drove away across the street from us, and I noticed them drive away, and I look over, and of course the fire was burning. They left trash at the fire pit and in the yard, and they dumped macaroni salad on the ground for other people to pick up. Now that brings ants, it brings critters, it brings birds, it brings all kinds of things in when you're leaving food laying on the ground. So listen, I'm not your mother, other campers are not your mother. Pick up after yourself. Now number three is this: don't walk through, don't ride through, don't drive through someone else's campsite. It's just absolutely rude. I mean, if you think about this for a moment, right? Your stuff is laid out, you've got your own campsite laid up, and some of them are kind of close together, but others are not. But you got everything laid out, you got your water out, you got your stoves out, you got everything you need to live a weekend, a week, a 2-week vacation, whatever it is, a month, however long you're going to stay there. And then somebody comes walking right through the middle of your site. It is not cool. I mean, we have our stuff out, and that's our stuff. You know, that's our little area. And so listen, just be courteous enough, right? Be courteous enough not to walk through someone else's site. I was called the other day, and somebody was complaining to me that somebody actually drove through their site. That's right, and they drove through in order to get to the way that they wanted to park their camper, and they drove right through their site. I mean, this is ridiculous. Again, we don't want nothing to be stolen. We don't want our stuff to be messed with. So don't walk through someone else's campsite. Number four, you just have to observe the quiet hours in RV park. And generally those times are generally from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. And turn up your music loud. Don't do all the simple things, you know, yelling and screaming and carrying on and doing all that stuff, because people want to enjoy their camping experience. Now, this is a respect thing. I have to say this. This is a respect thing for other campers. And if you turn up your music, hey, you love your music, don't you? I mean, you love whether it's rap, whether it's country, whether it's rock and roll, R&B, whatever the case may be, right? Christian music, you know, whatever the case may be. You love your kind of music, right? But not everyone loves your kind of music. So keep your music to yourself as a respect to other campers. Yes, you can have it up, but not so very loud. You can enjoy your music, but people don't like other people's music. I mean, we had a guy that came in one time. We were parked at a campsite, and we had a guy come in, and he backed up his trailer, and he had his music kind of loud while he's backing up his trailer. I didn't mind. I was just not thinking too much about it. And then he parked his truck and opened all the doors and turned up his radio really loud so he could listen to his radio, his music, while he set up the camp. Now, we were in close quarters. Probably 8 of us in the immediate area that could hear his music. His music had cussing and all kinds of garbage in it. And you know what? There were children there. I'm going to tell you now, there are a lot of people complained about that guy. And you know what happened to him? They had to go up there and tell him to shut his music off because it was disturbing other people. So listen, don't be that guy, okay? Don't be the dummy who comes in and turns up their radio so high that everybody in the park can hear it, right? The fifth thing I want to talk to you about here is this: pets, specifically dogs, right? And, you know, especially dogs on a leash. Now, it's number one is it's the law. Number two is that you'll notice in every single campground or RV park that it's stated on the rules and it's stated on signs that dogs must be on a 6-foot leash. Now, I don't know why that's so difficult for dog owners. Now, I'm not a dog hater, but dogs don't really bother me too much, except when, you know, they're in a car and I walk by and they're in this car and they're barking and barking and barking in this car. Or one guy had his dog set up where the dog could just reach the edge of the road. So when I walked by, that dog was coming for me, right? Barking and barking. And fortunately, I saw the leash on it where it caught. That guy had it on like a 16-foot leash. That thing could run around anywhere, right? And so, you know, like I said earlier, I'm not a dog hater. But listen, know your dog, right? If you know your dog's going to be barking all day long when you leave it in a camper, well, take the dog with you. Or don't even bring it camping. Send it to a friend's house, right? But listen, leash it up and keep it to where you are managing your own pet. Now, number 6 is a big one. Well, here's kind of the common sense rule. Once you go to bed at night, shut off your outside light, your porch light, or your awning lights. Shut those off because you're technically shining light into other people's area when you do that. Especially if their bedroom is backed up to where your lights are at, then you're going to cause a problem when people are trying to sleep or people trying to watch TV because you're lighting up their whole space, right? So shut off your lights. Please, shut off your lights. Now, listen, I'm saying this because I'm guilty, okay? There's been a time or two where I've forgotten to shut that light off. And I apologize for that. If anybody's seeing this that's been around us, I apologize for that. But I do my best to make sure I cut that light off at night before I go to bed. You know, I don't want to be a bad camper. I don't want to cause somebody else to have a bad camping experience, right? All right, well, number 7. Number 7, I've seen it. Happens all the time. Obey the speed limit. No, man, can I tell you what? Most speed limits in a campground or an RV park are somewhere between 5 and 10 miles an hour. Now, I get it. If you're in a big, huge area and you're way in the back, you want to get to your place pretty quickly, right? But obey the speed limits, you know? And the second thing is this, on that thought process, the second thing is this, don't go the wrong way just so it's a shortcut to get to your RV site or to get out. Follow the rules of the road. If it says one way, then go that way. Do not circle around and try to go the other way. Now, why do I mention these couple things? Well, number one, safety, right? People are walking, people have their dogs, people have their children riding around. Children are out and about in campgrounds. They're riding around, they're having a good time, they're walking on the roads, they're running on the roads, they're crossing the roads, they're doing all kinds of things like kids should do, right? But if you come in there barreling in there 15, 20, 25 miles an hour, your stopping time is way less than it would be at 10 miles an hour. And you could potentially hurt a kid, hurt a dog, hurt a person, and you wouldn't want that. That's not a way for your camping experiences to go down. So slow down, obey the laws, obey the law of the park, and go in the direction that it has gone. I've seen it too many times, folks. I mean, I've been in a position where I'm close to the front and I see people come down the wrong way just so they can get out. I mentioned it to them. I was like, you're going the wrong way. Oh, I know. Well, if you know, then why are you going the wrong way, right? I mean, seriously. So just obey those rules, right? And that brings us to our last unwritten rule. Well, sometimes it's written, but our unwritten rule is this. Do not go to the dump site and dump your stuff into the dump site and then take the potable water, the water that's drinkable, And don't rinse that hose out with all that sewage in there. Don't do it. I mean, it is disrespectful. It can cause people to become sick. I mean, you're taking your sewage and you're rinsing out the hose where people put it to drink water through their RV. Please, please, please stop doing this. It is not sanitary. It will cause people to become sick, and it will ruin everybody's camping experience. I've just seen it happen too many times, right? Well, speaking of that golden rule, right? You remember that golden rule that if you follow that golden rule, you won't need any unwritten rules to camp with, because you're going to be a perfect camper, right? And what is that golden rule? Do unto others what you would have them do unto you. You know? And thinking about that, there's a video that I'd like to share with you right now. I want to recommend it to you right now. So go ahead and click that now, and I'm going to see you on the next video.